Hello and welcome to episode 10 of my A to Z stitch series. We're on J this week and we're learning the Jasmine stitch. And as always, we're going to spin our spinner and find out what we're making. Okay, and I get to choose, and I am going to be making a coaster today. I'd love to make a bookmark, but it is going to be a very thick project, so probably not the best bookmark. But I know that this stitch is going to be really hard, and so we're going to make it easier on ourselves and just make a cute coaster. Grab your yarn and your hook and let's get started. Go ahead and make a slip knot and pop that on your hook. We're not going to be making a beginning chain or a foundation chain. Our first row is going to be comprised of a bunch of puff stitches, but go ahead and start by chaining 2. Alrighty, and now we're going to make our first puff stitch. And so first decide about how big you want your puffs to be. You want to raise it 1/4 of an inch, 1/2 an inch, a few centimeters. Just drag this loop up, and so it's a big loose loop. And now we're going to yarn over, and we're going to insert our hook into the first chain. You can just do one loop, both loops, the back bump, it really doesn't matter. And then yarn over and pull up a loop, and we want to pull it up to the height of our first one. So it helps to do a little shimmy. Right now we have 3 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over, insert our hook into the first chain, and then yarn over and pull up another loop. Make sure they're all the same height. Now we have 2, 4, 5. We want to do it one more time. Yarn over, insert our hook into the first, yarn over, pull up a loop to the same height. 2, 4, 6, 7, and then yarn over for our 8th. And then this is where it's a little bit weird. We want to hold on to the yarn right here. We've yarned over. We want to pinch this so that it doesn't get pulled all the way through. We're going to insert our hook into this next. So it's going to feel really weird the first few times you do it, but I like to pinch this yarn while also pinching the bottom of my work to help give me some tension. Once you're ready, go ahead and pull through all the loops on your hook, making sure you don't let go of this one. And now we're going to insert our hook into that point we were holding, yarn over, pull through, and make a single crochet. So yarn over and pull through both loops. All right, so we have a puff and we have a single crochet, and now we're going to chain 1, and now we're going to make another puff stitch. So draw your hook up and then yarn over, and we're going to insert our hook into this space between the puff and the single crochet. It looks weird because we're doing it from the wrong way. Normally we would turn our work and work into these stitches. But so draw up your loop, yarn over, and insert your hook under the loops of this single crochet / right in between the single crochet and the puff stitch. And then yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, insert your hook in there again, yarn over, pull up a loop, and then one more time, yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up your loop. And we always want to have 7 loops on our hook, 4, 6, 7, and then yarn over for our 8th and hold that yarn right there. Once you're ready, then you can pull through all the loops on your hook. There's our little loop we were pinching. Insert in there again, yarn over, pull through, make your single crochet, and then chain 1. All right, and so that's all it is. You're going to continue making these puffs until you reach your desired length. For this coaster, we're going to make 5 puffs before moving on to the next row. And so I'll keep doing them with you. I'll talk you through the next one, and then I'll just show you the last 2, just because I know that this is really complicated. But I think once you know what you're doing, it's very doable, and it's actually a very fun, easy project. So draw up your loop, yarn over, insert your hook between the single crochet and the puff stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, make sure they're the same height. Do that 2 more times. Count the loops, 2, 4, 6, 7. And this is our 8th. Grab that loop so it doesn't get pulled through our puff. And then pull through all of them. Insert your hook into the loop we were holding and make a single crochet. And then chain 1. Don't forget to do your little chain 1 always. So there's our first 3 puffs. Super cute. And so I'm going to do 2 more and then we'll be ready for row 1. And so as you go, as your tension changes, that hole might not look as big, but you're just going to do it right in between the puff and the single crochet. And you're always going to yarn over and insert your hook into the space 3 times. And then if you're struggling holding this, I haven't done this, but you can grab a stitch marker and place it on this loop that we need to be holding. And that could help you out a little bit if you're struggling with holding everything and keeping a nice tension. So definitely give that a try if you want. And then always do your chain. So there's our 4. Pull your loop up. And we're making our last one. Alrighty, grabbing my loop, pulling it all through, making my single crochet, and chain 1. Alrighty, so that is row 1 / our foundation row, but not too bad, right? If you can do this, you can do the rest, I promise. So once you've reached your desired length, we need to make 1 more puff stitch so that we have a bit of height ready for our next row. You know how we always chain 2 or 3 if we're going to make a double crochet so that we reach the height of the stitches that we're making. So we're going to start row 2 by making 1 more puff. So pull up your hook, yarn over, and make 1 more puff stitch. Alrighty, and then same as before, grab the yarn, pull it through, and then insert your hook into that spot we were pinching, make your single crochet, and chain 1. Awesome, and so that's going to go up there. But now we're going to make our first Jasmine stitch. So it's going to start the same way. Pull up your loop, yarn over, and insert it 3 times. 1, 2, and 3. But now, instead of finishing this, we're going to work puff stitches into these next 2 places as well. So yarn over, and then we're just going to insert our hook into that space between these 2 puff stitches. And we're going to do it 3 times as always. So that was 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so we can see our little defined puffs happening. And then do that 1 more time into this next space. Yarn over and do this 3 times. 1, 2, and 3. Now we're going to finish this puff stitch the way we've always been doing it. Yarn over and hold the yarn. And this is going to be trickier, and I promise it gets easier later, but just try to do it slowly if you can. We're going to pull through all of these loops. And again, this could be a really great time to try out that stitch marker trick. But so just go slowly through all the puffs, making sure that you're not catching any and making sure you're not letting go of this loop. But just keep going slowly through all of the puffs. All right, I have one more to go through. There we are, success. Okay, and now finish it as we've been finishing it. Insert your hook into that place we were pinching and make a single crochet. And then chain 1. Alrighty, so that was our first little Jasmine stitch puff. And now we're going to do that again. We're going to pull up our loop and we're going to make 3 puff stitches into this one, right where we're starting from. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So right where we're starting our new stitch from, that's where we're going to do our first one. We've already worked into this one. We're going to work into it again. And then our next one. Okay, so pull up your loop, yarn over, and insert your hook into this space 3 times. 1, 2, and 3. So that's our first one. And then moving on to this next space. 1, 2, 3. I like to do lots of wiggles to make sure I'm reaching the same height for all of them. Your tension is the key to making this turn out nicely. And then we're going to move on to the next spot and do our last puff. 1, 2, and 3. Alrighty, so those are 3 puff stitches. Yarn over, hold that loop, and now we're going to pull through all these stitches. Oh no, I messed up. All right, you're seeing me mess up in real time. It is what it is. Let's give it another try. Boom. That was a very satisfying one, if I do say so myself. And now finish it with your single crochet and chain 1. Alrighty, and so that's all we're going to be doing for the rest of the row until we reach the end. But we're just going to be going first puff stitch, second puff stitch, third. And so I'll do another one with you and then I'll meet you at the end. Pull your hook up, pull your loop up, yarn over, insert 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Yarn over, moving on to the next one where we've already worked into. 1, 2, and 3. And then yarn over and make our third one. 1, 2, and 3. Then yarn over, Hold that yarn and pull through all the loops. Ooh, that was another very satisfying, exciting one. All right, and then finish it with your single crochet. And chain one. So I'll show you this next one still, but I'm going to be quiet for a bit. Alrighty, and so now we've reached the end of our row. We're going to be doing our first puff stitch right there where we're beginning. 1, 2, and then our last one is going to be worked into this space right here. There'll be one little loop. As you can see, like here's all of our little puffy loops, puff, puff, puff. There's going to be one solo loop. That's where we're going to be working our last one into. Okay, so make our first puff. Perfect. And then make our second one. Beautiful. And then our last one. Find that solo loop and make our last puff. 1, 2, and 3. And now yarn over, pinch that, and pull through all of them. Ooh, I love it when I do it nice and easy like that. And then finish it off with your single crochet and chain 1. All right, before we move on to row 2, this feels like a great time to give some tips and tricks if you feel like these holes are really big. Ooh, got some little dog hairs, don't mind those. Now, personally, I don't really mind them too much. Obviously, number 1 would be changing your tension to tighten that hole. You can try sizing down your hook, or instead of doing single crochets, you can do slip stitches, and that's gonna obviously make them way tighter. But also, it just takes a lot of practice to get your tension right, making sure you're making the puffs all the same size. Just keep practicing, don't give up, because it does get really easy. This has intimidated me for years. And so now we're just going to repeat that row again. It's just a 1 row repeat from here. I've made my single crochet. I'm going to chain 1 and turn my work. And now we need to make our puffs so that we can keep going on the next row. We need to reach that new height. We're always going to start our next row by making 1 solo single puff, okay? Right into this hole right there. So 1, 2, and 3. Hold your yarn, pull it through, make your single crochet, and chain 1. And so think of that as our turning chain. That's our turning puff. Start every row with a turning puff. But now we're just going to do that the same way as before. Pull up your loop, go in between the single crochet and the puff, and make your first one. And then make your next one down here where we've already worked into. 1, 2, and 3. And then make your last one in the next space. 1, 2, and 3. Then yarn over, pinch that spot, and pull through all the loops. Awesome. And then make your single crochet. And chain 1. And so just keep continuing that all the way down, and I'll meet you at the end just because this does look a little bit different than last time. So I'll meet you for the last one, but just keep going. 1, 2, 3. Boom, boom, boom. And I'll meet you at the end. All right, so now I'm on the last one. We obviously can see we're gonna go 1, 2, and then these 2 loops, these 2 puffs right here, if you pull them apart, there's that little space right there. So don't forget your chain 1, and then I'm gonna make my first puff. And then my second puff. And then my last puff, and that space between the 2 puffs. Beautiful, and then pull through all of them. No. All right. I'm gonna 5 times me doing this. Alrighty. Honestly, I think the hardest part of this is pulling through, what is it, 24 stitches, 23, something like that. I think that's the hardest part of this. Oh, that was an easy one. You win some, you lose some. Alrighty, and then finish it off with your single crochet and chain 1, turn your work, and that's all we're doing. Raise it up, make your standing puff, and then work all the way down till you reach the end. And so I'll meet you at the end just to show you one more time what that looks like, but it's so easy from here. Alrighty, and I'm back to the end. I'm going to make my first puff. And then my second puff. And then the last puff down kind of on the side, right between those 2 puffs. And then yarn over and pull through all of them. Ooh, that was a great one. Alrighty. And chain 1 and turn and just keep going. I'll be honest, I'm remaking this for you right now. And so here is the first one that I did. And so if you're wanting to make a coaster as well, then from here, I believe you only need to do 1 more row. Alrighty, so once you're happy with the size of yours, then you can go ahead and chain 1 and fasten off. How stinking cute is this? Now all we have to do is weave in our ends, and that's it. The weaving on this is crazy, but also easy. So just go between all the nearby puffs. Just keep going from puff to puff until it seems like you've gone pretty far. Thread your needle, pull it through. Boom, easy peasy. Do that on the other side. And that's it. All right, let's start talking about thoughts and opinions, yada, yada, yada. We'll start with easiness. Obviously, this one was definitely probably the hardest stitch to learn so far. It's just complicated, but once you get the hang of it, not too bad. Obviously, I have some tension issues where some of my holes are pretty big. If I did it again, I would actually try doing it with the slip stitch instead of the single crochet to see if that helps. But I love that it's a 1-row repeat. I love that this looks super duper hard and complicated. This would be honestly such a gorgeous Christmas present, a tiny little coaster set. You can make just 2 of them, give them to your grandma, your friends. Like, it's honestly so, so, so stunning. Next category is cuteness. Hands down, this is one of the prettiest stitches I've ever learned. Like, literally. If you know me, if you know my channel, you know I love flowers. I've been wanting to try this stitch for literal actual years. Every time I've tried, it was too complicated. I would give up. It's too intimidating. I am so happy that I finally sat down and learned this. Literally 10 out of 10, obsessed with it. Circling back to easiness, it's definitely the hardest stitch to learn, but once you know what you're doing, it's not that bad. I think a lot of beginners could do this. If you know how to make a puff stitch, then you're well on your way to doing this. Cuteness, literal 10 out of 10, a million out of 10. It's so cute. Now, project ideas, it's obviously very thick. And so while I think that that would be a stunning bookmark, you'll probably ruin the spines of your book. But coaster, hot pad, maybe a blanket, but I think if you had pets with, you know, nails and claws, these can be really easy to snag and like loosen it. My audio cut out here, but I'm pretty sure I was going to say something along the lines of it's not fragile, but a kind of fragile stitch. It's easy to snag and mess up, so I would avoid making anything that's going to get heavy use or be around pets or kids. I do think that this would make a super cute bag, but there are these little holes in it, so it's something to be mindful of if you have a looser tension. You don't want things falling out of your bag, of course, but I do think it would make a really cute hook case, laptop case, anything that you want to be like protective. I think I said hand warmers already. I think it could be a really cute like chunky headband or a beanie if you want a really nice thick beanie. There are a ton of uses for it. It's so pretty. Just kind of play around and see what it inspires you to make, I think. And that was it for this week. Thank you so much for watching, whether you've been following along from the beginning or if you just popped in for this one. I really truly appreciate it. If you want to help support my channel, then a like and a comment goes a long way. And don't forget to subscribe because I do post 2 videos every week. One obviously for these little stitch tutorials, and then another fun little project like bookmarks, pouches, little wearables, nice, easy, beginner-friendly projects. But thank you again so much, and as always, happy crocheting and stay lucky. Bye!